Good morning. I hope that you are well today. This is another installment of the By Chaplain. I'm Richard DeFord, and just kind of thinking about things today for my day and anticipating God to do something. It's important that we wake up that way, anticipating that God is going to do something in us today. Because, if God's not doing something in our lives, then we're living on borrowed time. Just kind of thinking today about something I am really sick about. I'm just fed up with it. And that is the great mask debate. Last night at the school board meeting, they live streamed it, and just so much misinformation. It's just ridiculous. And wearing them to begin with, I'm just fed up with that. I don't want to have to wear it anymore. But I have been in direct, very close contact with individuals who are in critical conditions or dying from COVID, and the reason why I haven't gotten it is because I've worn my mask. Masks are important. I don't care what people say. That said, I'm sick of them. I'd much rather just not have to wear them anymore, but that's not the reality today. I go to work and we have universal masking, and that's what we're going to do. But as sick as I am of having to wear a mask, there is another mask that I am just as sick of. And I've been wearing it for a lot longer than this thing. This thing started, this particular one I got about a week ago. Universal masking at our hospital started sometime in June, I think, but we've been wearing masks really since March. I think our first set of PPE was assigned in March, around the 13th or so. But this mask I've worn a good part of my whole life, a good part of my ministry. And I would bet if you're honest with yourself, you would find that you have worn this mask too. That is the mask that you put on that tells everybody that everything is okay. There aren't any struggles within. There aren't any deep challenges that you're mulling over. It's this mask that you put on to go to work. It's a mask that you put on to interact with your family. And it just says, I'm okay. But deep inside, you're not okay. Why do we put this mask on? What is it about this mask that attracts us so much? I mean, do we need to put on this false sense of everything being okay, that we're doing well? Why do we do that? The reality is, sometimes we feel like if people know the real us, they won't like us. If people know the struggles that we're having, maybe they will avoid us. So this mask is something that many, many of us are acquainted with. What's really sad is when we put the mask on for church, or not only do we put on the mask that says everything is okay, but we put on another mask for church that says everything is Tony the Tiger great. When in reality, it's not so great. And that's not to say we don't have joy, because we do. But there are times when anxiety, when sadness, depression, struggle in general just gets weary. So we put on airs, we put on this mask that says everything is okay or everything is great. We do that because we want people to think at church, oh, how spiritual we are, or on the workforce, how okay we are. And we do that because we don't want people to be uncomfortable around us. We want people to like us. We don't want to be a downer. And so, there it is. The interesting thing I want to tell you, though, is there are no masks with God. You can't hide from him. He knows the desires of your heart. He knows the struggles that you face. He knows every thought as you have them, and even before. He even knows the number of hairs that you have on your head. And he even knows the masks you wear for others. 1 Samuel, around the 16th chapter, I don't remember the verse, it's midway through the chapter. There's a verse that says, "For the Lord does not see as man sees, because whereas man looks at the outward appearance, God looks at the heart." God knows your heart. Scripture also tells us that God demonstrated his love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. In other words, while our mask was clearly off, while we were still sinners before him, while he could see the sin in our heart, Christ died for us. He chose us. And I'm going to boil that down to this. He chose you. So there's no need to put on a mask for God. Lay yourself bare to him. There is safety in surrendering to him. He wants the very best for his children. And let us also say that for you guys that are putting on a mask, myself included, just be real. Let people see your struggle. And then be willing also to listen to somebody else's struggle. Because when we do that, the scripture tells us to bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. And if we put on a mask and never display that we have any burden, then we are not able to empower people to help us. And then they miss out on blessings because they were not able to fulfill the law of Christ. So I want to challenge you with that today. Take the mask off. Be real and surrender to him, because he sees your heart. He knows your mind and your struggle. And he chose to die for you while you were still sinners. I hope you have a blessed day.